I'd like to welcome those listening in on, wow, I totally screwed that up. We're live here on Facebook. I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast land. And as always, I'd like to welcome my buddy, Rich. Rich, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mike, and also welcome to those who listen to watch us on YouTube. I'm doing good, kind of in the countdown to vacation mode.
I mean, you're on
At work
vacation, aren't
at
you?
work all week. Now I'm on vacation because I'm not going into work tomorrow, even though we
Yeah.
don't leave till Saturday. Got to get things wrapped up around the house, get the lawn mowed.
Okay.
So yeah, Mike, any Memorial Day plans for you?
We're supposed to go. I got a motorcycle ride with some guys from church tomorrow, or Saturday morning, and then Sunday we're going out to Buffalo Center, and then This Monday we're doing I have a couple chores that I need to get done, so.
All right. Well, Mike, let's go ahead and get this show. Let's go ahead and check this show off, like our little to-do list for the weekend, Mike. So, Mike, what's the time to do?
Tell people what we're talking about in the show.
Okay, yeah, I guess we can do that real quick.
So,
So we're gonna be. Go ahead, Mike.
nah, you first.
All right. So we're gonna go racing. We got to give you the results of the All-Star race, as well as give you our picks for the Coca-Cola 600 and the Indy 500. And we'll be talking some Cubs baseball. Mike,
Yeah.
what else are we going to talk about?
Yeah, we're gonna touch on playoffs, and then we're gonna talk where not is he good enough. We're gonna talk who should be starting Colin Kaepernick this year.
Instead of over their projected start.
Over their projected starter. Who should start Colin Kaepernick this year? We both have some strong opinions on this. We're not getting into the political side of it. We're just getting into talent and who we think is better between him and the other starters or the other starter on the team. So all that and more. But first, let's roll the intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich. So, last week we had, and it's going till Saturday, so I kind of feel bad cutting it off, right? But we're going to cut it off anyway. How did we do on votes on it? That's the other question. Forgot to look that up.
We did have some comments,
Yeah.
which will lead into what we're going to talk about, what we made our poll for this week.
Yeah. We had 5 votes. Yes. Okay, let's see who voted for what. Okay. So, Rich, I converted you, apparently.
Yeah, it was one of those things I wasn't quite sure what to go with. I didn't feel like Go the Distance was really a racing song, even though they used it as a metaphor.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of between I Can't Drive 55 and Jerry Was a Race Car Driver, and I went with Jerry Was a Race Car Driver.
Drove around fast. Never did win no checkered flags, but he never did come in last. Well, guess what? Jerry, you won the race this week with 60% of the votes. Jerry Was a Race Car Driver, won the music poll this week. So yeah, that's always fun.
So we got a comment shout out to give out.
We do.
My father-in-law, Ron Lehmans,
Yep.
gave 2 suggestions for songs that might have gotten left off the list, or that didn't quite make our cut. So we're gonna make them into this week's poll. So he mentioned Hot Rod Lincoln and Rapid Roy, the Stock Car Boy. So they're going to go in this week's poll, and I'm going to toss in there Racing in the Street by Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, I think, and The Intimidator by the Charlie Daniels Band.
Okay. So look for that poll to go live. Are you scheduling it for Saturday?
I'll schedule it for Saturday.
Okay, that'll go live Saturday, May 28th. Look for that to go live. And I mean, if we're just talking about driving songs, do we add in Radar Love? Because Hot Rod Lincoln is just about driving, but whatever.
I'll go Radar Love. I'll go. Let's do it. Radar Love.
Okay. And then do we go with a song by my nickname sake?
Sure. What is it?
I mean, some people would argue, no, it's not. It's not. Never mind. Okay, we'll leave that at that. We're done.
Okay.
We're not going to put any more in there. Okay. Rich, do you see what's coming up next?
I do, Mike. It's a left turn.
And after that?
Another left turn, but watch out, watch out for those tires getting cut, as that was a big problem at the Texas Motor Speedway as we're heading into the NASCAR corner. Presented as always by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, 5th Avenue in Moline, Illinois, or you can check them out at their eBay location, on their eBay online store. So, Mike, how did our guys do in the All-Star race?
Rich, they didn't do too well.
No, they didn't.
Now, we're going to give you honors because your pick of Kyle Busch finished in 21st, and my pick of Kyle Larson came in 24th.
Yeah, both guys had problems with tires.
Yeah.
Tires getting cut and damage that happened on the track since they couldn't avoid the wall with Kyle Larson, and he couldn't check up fast. The driver behind him, Ross Chastain, couldn't check up in time or get out of the way of Kyle Busch, who was trying to get down lower on the apron to get out of the way. I do have a question though, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the race or not.
I did not.
Okay, but they gave Kyle Busch 21st, but how do you know how exactly NASCAR scores puts people in order that are involved in a race when they have to exit because of a wreck? Because at the time of the wreck, Chase Elliott had already passed Kyle Busch before Ross Chastain rear-ended him and caused the wreck of causing Ross Chastain to go over Kyle Busch's car. So why did Kyle Busch get 21 and then Ross Chastain get 22 and then 22 or 23 and then Chase Elliott to get 22 or 23, even though both cars, by the time the car stopped moving, were ahead of Kyle Busch on the racetrack?
Okay, so the Ross Chastain thing, he's gonna be behind because, he's an idiot. I don't know why I don't know. It's an exhibition race. The only thing that matters is who wins.
I know. I was just curious though. I mean, Elliott had made the pass. The only reason he was involved in the wreck is because of Chastain not being able to check up or get out of the way of Busch, and it was Chastain that ran into Elliott after he went airborne a little bit, and then when he got back on the track on four wheels, kept on going and ran into Elliott.
Yeah, I'd have to watch I haven't. It's been a crazy week, so I didn't get to watch the replay of it. But maybe if I.
But Ryan Blaney was your winner, and that also came with some controversy as well, as the NASCAR officials threw a very, very late caution right seconds before Ryan Blaney crossed the finish line. He thought the race was over. He put down his window net, and then you're hearing communication over the radio. They threw a caution. And they didn't throw a black flag, making him pit to get the window net put back up, or stopping all the cars on the track so that a crew member could come out to the car and get the window net put up. But he managed to get it up enough that it didn't cause a penalty.
Yeah.
And he won in overtime, but Denny Hamlin wasn't happy about that, as he would have easily benefited and gotten the $1 million if they had forced him to pit or disqualified him.
Yeah.
Through maybe an inspection or a video review, I guess, if that's a thing in NASCAR.
So they actually do reviews. That's a regular thing. They would have it would have been one of those things where, with the way those things work, it's hard to say. In general, if he would have, it depends on where he was when he dropped it down. He thought the race was over. NASCAR sometimes gives some leeway there, so I don't know. I don't have a good answer for why they did it and why they didn't.
Yeah,
I don't think
glad that
NASCAR did.
Yeah, I'm glad that he won the race, and because I think it was like the last car in the field of the field that was running was involved, got involved, hit the wall wrong or hit the wall wrong, and they still flew the caution even though it didn't impact any other cars on the track, and you had the green and white checkered flag at that point with Blaney getting ready to cross the line. But they threw the caution with very, very short amount of time before he hit the checkered line. So I think they avoided a little bit of a PR nightmare if Blaney had lost the race in overtime. But at the same time, it is an exhibition race, so at least no points were lost. Whether it was Blaney getting disqualified because the race netter happened to go down pit road. So no points were gained by either of us since our drivers did terrible and were out, I think probably before even midway through stage number 2. And so the Coca-Cola 600, I'm going to go back to the well, and I'm going to go with Kyle Busch again.
Yes, he's going to wreck.
Yeah, he might wreck. But he's done really well on the mile and a half. He was doing really well before he blew a tire at Texas, leading a good chunk of that race, winning stage 1 and looking to run away with it before he blew the tire. And he also had good strong finishes in Kansas and Vegas, which are mile and a half tracks. So I'll go with Candyman.
Okay, I might have an answer to why they did it. Okay, I do. I have a guesstimate for the Kyle Busch thing.
Okay, who are you picking for Coca-Cola? For Charlotte?
Sorry. For Charlotte, I am going to pick Kyle. I'm going to pick Chase Elliott.
All right, I like that. I like that pick. Chase Elliott's a solid pick. I like him. I like the pick. He would be in my fantasy lineup if I was not trying to save uses so that I have him available for the road courses later on in the year.
Okay, so as I watch this, Kyle Busch passed the timing loop. There's timing loops throughout the track.
Oh, okay.
Kyle Busch passes the timing loop, which is the start-finish line. Okay.
Gotcha.
Then he gets wrecked. That's when the caution comes out. Okay.
So it was after he passed the time loop that Elliott passed him?
Right. So Elliott was the third one that passed the timing loop. Ross Chastain, the caution comes out before they get to the next timing loop. And so Busch, they freeze the field as soon as that happens at the previous timing loop. The most recent timing loop that everybody hit. Kyle Busch was the leader of those three. It should be Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, and then Chase Elliott.
Okay. That makes a little bit of sense. But not knowing that, seeing that at the time that that Chase Elliott got wrecked, he was in front of Kyle Busch. So why didn't he get the 21st position? All right, Mike. So thank you for that, looking into that as well as looking up the rules. Mike, we got another race we got to give a winner on. The Indianapolis 500, which will run on, is it a Monday race or do they race on Sunday afternoon?
They race on Sunday. So
it
used to be there were drivers that would run the Indy 500 and then run the Coke 600 in the same day. How many miles is that, Rich?
1,100 miles.
Yeah, and that means that now you know why we named it. Why I named it.
Yeah.
What it was. So
On the same day or on the same weekend?
same day.
Wow.
Same day. And there's a plane ride involved. Because you leave, you get on a helicopter that takes you to the airport. You get on a jet that takes you from Indianapolis to Charlotte. And then you get to yeah.
So did those guys start at the back of the field in
Nope.
the Coca-Cola because
Nope.
they didn't get a chance to
No,
qualify?
they would bounce back and forth, and they
Oh.
qualify because Indy qualifying was last Sunday.
Yeah.
The qualifying for the race for Sunday's race is normally it was Saturday or it might even be Friday. Normally it was Saturday. So you do your Indy practice and races your qualifying this week. Then you go to Charlotte, do a couple practices, run your qualifying, and then after your qualifying got done, you'd fly back to Indy, spend the night in Indy, get good rest, be at the track, do your race, finish the race, jump on a helicopter, then a plane, then get down to Charlotte, and in time to run and get into your car. So,
Interesting.
yeah, it used to be a big thing. Not done as much anymore. So, Rich, I am picking for the Indy 500. I'm picking Scott Dixon. Who you picking, Rich?
I'm gonna go with a favorite driver on the show of yours, which I'm surprised you didn't pick him, Jimmy Johnson.
I mean, he's not my. I don't like it. I mean, he's a good driver, but he's not one of my favorites. Truly, he's not.
Okay.
I just liked picking him because I thought he was going to have a win, and he never did, and it kind of sucked for him. So it just became a meme at that point. But any other racing talk before we keep making left turns and head to the diamond?
Well, Trackhouse Racing was kind of in the news.
Yeah.
With the announcement of Project 91. I don't know if Project 91, they're going to field a number 91 Chevy Camaro in Watkins Glen this year with former F1 driver. I got to look up the name because I didn't put this into the outline. They are calling it a Project 91 initiative, and they're going to bring in got the wrong car. Got the wrong story. So I guess it's going to be totally unprepared for this. Sorry about that. Almost there. Kimi Räikkönen.
Kimi Räikkönen.
Räikkönen. Yeah.
Kimi Räikkönen. Okay.
Yeah, an 07 Formula One World Champion. So he'll race at Watkins Glen this year for the team, and then more to come. More races will be announced in 2024. As they said, they're not going to be able to put a car in the field in the 23 season. And from maybe a newer fan of the sport watching it, for me, I don't know if adding more cars to the field is the answer on a permanent basis. When you're watching the races, you constantly see the same teams and the same drivers finishing in the last 5 positions every single race for one reason or another. it would make sense for me to have a shorter field, not more cars in the field.
Are they? Is NASCAR adding a whole extra car available, or is it just the team is adding a car and they're
I
hoping
don't
that
know.
it qualifies?
I don't.
Because in general,
I don't know.
NASCAR's not gonna. I don't think NASCAR's expanding their roster. I think it's just a matter of. I think it's just going to be a matter of NASCAR letting.
Letting them have a car that can qualify into
Yep.
the race.
Yep.
Okay,
So
I guess that makes
That would be
sense.
my guess.
but I think for me, I think there's a lot of races to where there are too many cars in the field.
Yeah.
Like your J.J. Yaley, Josh Bilecki, B.J. McLeod, Todd Gilliland. Every single race they're finishing in the bottom five. I mean, why have them as a full-time driver, and I guess why don't they have more qualifying to? I guess it would make more sense to me to have drivers earn their spot in qualify to make it into the main event race rather than having like a guaranteed spot in every single race. Is it the charter system that guarantees that no matter how they do in practice or qualifying, their car gets to be in the field?
Sometimes. Some of it all depends. Yeah, there are ways that. I mean, if you have enough points, if you have enough points you get a guaranteed spot in the position in there. So, and the way NASCAR is now, there are rarely cars. They don't generally have enough cars, or they have just enough cars to make the full field. So, yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't get why you have to have 40 cars in the field when I don't know. I don't know. I like the concept of the All-Star race to where you had to race to get in, where they had a smaller field and you had to race to get in the race.
And you have to qualify to get in unless your team has enough points, provisional points, to get you a provisional spot. The way 40 cars is, from an outside perspective, seems like a lot. When I'm watching, I'm used to 43 cars, so that's first of all. It used to be 43 cars. And part of the nice thing about that, especially at these 1.5-mile tracks, if you're watching, when you get to watch, do you notice that after about 15 to 20 laps, there are cars all around the track? So you always get a chance to see what's going on. There's always some sort of excitement going on all the time. So yeah, I'm all good with it. I like it. So, and getting more diversity, getting more outside drivers in, I think it's, again, Kimi Räikkönen is a great driver, but they're driving a NASCAR car is completely different than driving an Indy car, an F1 car, the Le Mans cars, all of them. These things NASCAR cars are basically drag cars. Let's be honest. They have 1,000 horsepower. They have very tiny brakes. They're designed to make left turns. Now, the one that Kimi's going to be in is going to be a road course, which helps. There's left and right, but the cars aren't great at cornering in general. When it comes, especially these tracks, they're better, but they're not great. They have itty bitty brakes and super amounts of power. It is a completely different beast than when you're driving an F1 car and you have 1,000 pounds of downforce on your car. It drives differently. So the difference there, you hear a lot of NASCAR fans and you hear a lot of the commentators say NASCAR has the best drivers in the world. Well, when it comes to stock cars, it's true. Because when you get behind the wheel of a stock car and you drive it around a track like that, and then you compare it to driving an F1 car, we've had F1 guys come in and not be able to do anything. Juan Pablo Montoya, running at the Indy 500, had won the Indy 500 multiple times. All he was doing in the Indy 500 is going left. He's used to driving left turns, right, Rich?
Mm-hmm.
You know what he did in NASCAR? Yeah, you don't, because he wasn't good enough for you to know who he is in the NASCAR world. A guy that was used to making left turns didn't do anything. If that doesn't show you, Danica Patrick, you know where she got her start? IndyCar, F1. What'd she do in NASCAR? Date Dale Jr. and make a bunch of hullabaloo? I'm not...
And struggle to be in the top 20?
Yeah. NASCAR is a completely different beast. That's why I want to... hopefully Kimmy does a great job. But it's a completely different beast than anything he's ever done before. So good luck to him. Okay, with that being said, this has been the NASCAR Corner, presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois, on 5th Avenue. Check them out in person for all your sports memorabilia needs, or check them out on their eBay store. Once again, that is Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Let's keep making left turns as we head to the diamond to talk about the Cubs a week. Show to show, they went 3-3. Rich, you nailed it once again. I thought they could have gotten one more out of the Reds, but they pissed off Joey Votto, and the Reds made them pay.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that it was going to be an 11:30 start time. Kind of looking forward. Hey, I could listen to the game while I work today.
Yeah.
And then I get back from lunch, and I had to go from one location, one warehouse to the other, and I keep hearing my phone like buzzing on me, buzz, buzz, buzz. And I was like, man, what's going on? Who's blowing up my phone? And I look at it, and 15-3, 15-5, and it's like, well, not gonna listen to this game.
Yeah.
20-5 today.
Yeah, that was rough. So,
but I'll take 3 wins. I'll take 3 wins with the way this team is going.
Yeah.
Christopher Morel coming up from AAA, doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Decent. And we might get a chance to look at a guy that we acquired in the Chris Bryant trade. His name escapes me. Caleb. Oh, man. Caleb Killian. Caleb Killian.
Okay.
He might get a start this week with the rotation kind of being shorthanded in a lot of games against good clubs. He could get a spot start and maybe even stick with the Cubs throughout the year.
Yep.
And I think that's really what this year is about. It's about seeing what you got on the majors and bringing guys up for cups of coffee throughout the year to see if they're ready to be on the roster full time or if they need a little bit more time down on the farm in Iowa.
And kind of seeing what they need to improve on. What mechanics do you need this guy to work on to be ready for the majors? Is it mechanics? Is it pressure? There's a whole realm of things that jump between AAA and the majors. And so when they're making this jump, you got to have the right guys in the right spot and giving guys opportunities on. In 2016, how many times did we have guys that we were like, okay, well, we got to bring up this minor leaguer, so we're going to send Javi Baez down. We didn't. Because you can't afford to do that. So right now, while they suck, we got to make our time and take it and get our guys from the minors up here, let them do their thing. That's going to be the best part about this year. Now, hopefully it doesn't turn into okay, well, we know what we can get out of this guy and we can trade him away and our team just sucks for the next 10 years. Hopefully it means that they have some good rebuilding ready to do and they're going to bring up some guys and maybe make a playoff run in the next 2 years.
I think it'll probably take longer than 2 years, but it's about seeing what you have.
Definitely within the next 5 years, right?
Within 5, yeah. I think I would hope that they have things straightened out.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No problem. So
within 5 years, and we get rid of Jason Hayward's contract in 2 years. So there's that to look forward to. So Mike, who are they playing next week?
We have the crosstown rivals. We're going into guaranteed rate field. We're going to take a loan out, and I think we're going to. I'm not going to commentate on that. Then we have the Brewers in town for 3 games, and the Cardinals in town for 2 games, and then you're back next Saturday, right?
Yes,
okay.
We will be able to do a show on Saturday.
Check.
So that's show to show. Those are the games that are going to happen from Saturday, because they're not playing tomorrow, which is odd for me to see a Major League Baseball team off on Friday and to Saturday, to the end of the game on Friday. So they have a Thursday-Friday game. They have a 4-game set with the Cardinals. So, Mike, looking at who they're playing.
Yeah.
7 games. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to what I originally had on the outline before I started talking with you. I'm going to go 2 wins. They're playing rivalry games. You might get.
Yeah, those rivalry games.
You might get some.
Yeah, but
you might get some wins out of there.
But those rivalries are some of the best teams in the majors. Like well, maybe not the major. I guess the Central, but the White Sox are a great team. Are we going to win either of those games?
No, I don't think we will.
Then we have the Brewers.
The Brewers could come down to how the rotation lines up for both teams.
Yeah. They have a game Saturday? Ooh, they have 2 games on Saturday.
There's a doubleheader somewhere in there?
Yeah, next Saturday, the 4th, is a doubleheader.
But that goes into next week.
Maybe
this Saturday?
No, the 4th, not the 28th. They only have 1 game.
Okay, so that would go into next week's show to show.
Maybe.
Unless we go on to air after it starts.
Maybe. We'll have to talk about that.
We'll worry about that on Saturday.
Okay.
So how many wins are you going to give them out of that? And they got the Cardinals for 2 games.
I don't think they can win a game.
At least from show to show.
I don't think they can win a game. I have no hope this week. So I'm going to say 0. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, for me, I think it's really hard for me to say 0 wins because look at the Reds. You thought that they could sweep the Reds, and they split that series.
Yeah, and I think they should. Yeah. So, with all that being said, I still think 0. Any other news in the majors that you want to bring up this week?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, nothing major happened. We didn't talk about it, I don't think. But the St. Louis Cardinals have 2 new pitchers on their team.
Okay.
We haven't talked about it, I don't think. Albert Pujols pitched.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one pitcher.
And Yadi
Molina. I didn't know they had signed 2 more pitchers in their bullpen, but apparently they did.
Yeah, all their 20-plus years for both of them, and that's the first time they've ever gotten the pitch in a game.
Yeah, you can tell it's the last year for both these guys. Is Carpenter going to retire too?
Carpenter actually just got signed by the New York Yankees.
Oh, so
He was on a minor league deal with the Rangers.
Oh.
He didn't get he didn't make the major league roster out of spring training, and the option year of giving him the choice of, well, all right, do I want to stay with the team
Okay.
in AAA or do I want to be released? And he took the release option, and the Yankees signed him to a major league deal.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, do you think we'll face either of those pitchers this week?
No, I don't think we will.
Okay. I hope not, because if we're facing them, either we're down so much that they feel pity for us, but okay. Let's head from there to the hardwoods. We've already told you the Bucks have been eliminated. That happened before last week. This week we have the Warriors and are still they're in the Western Conference Finals. Game 5 is tonight against the Mavs.
It's ongoing right now. The other series, Boston and Miami, it's 3-2 Boston right now. Game 6 is going to be on Friday. The NBA Finals will tip off.
It is not ongoing right now.
Oh, do we have a final?
We do. Golden State Warriors have advanced to the NBA play.
To the NBA Finals. All
yes.
right.
And look for that Boston Miami game to be just a slug out. They're going 7. They're going 7. Golden State's going to get some time to rest. Rich, who do you think's coming out of the Celtics or the Heat?
I still like Boston.
Yeah. I agree. But the Heat are the only team that play defense in the league anymore. But we will let you pick who you think's going to win when it comes time.
We'll do that next week. The NBA Finals. We'll probably have one game on the books before we go on the air.
Yeah.
So let's make the Stanley Cup Finals our lunch bet this year.
Okay, that works.
Instead of both.
The Leafs have been eliminated. The Wild have been eliminated. The Avalanche have been eliminated.
Avalanche are still in it.
Oh, okay.
The Avalanche are still in it. They actually advanced.
Oh, okay.
They have won. And the Hurricanes are currently tied with the Rangers. Game 5 is tonight. Let me verify that on the Hurricanes. I don't remember if they advanced or if their series is still ongoing.
The Avalanche?
Let me check that real quick. Yes.
You didn't have it in the outline. That's why I was confused.
Oh yeah. They are currently up 3-2 on the. That's
on the Blues. Yeah.
Yes, 3-2 on the Blues. Their next game is going to be on Friday.
On Sunday.
Game 6 tomorrow.
Game 6
Friday. Yes.
Yep. Okay.
I got lost. That's what happens when you're writing up the outline.
Yeah.
Getting notes in the outline in between.
Okay, so that's been our
commercial breaks.
That's been our preview for that. Let's look at the NFL. So, Rich, this week, Colin Kaepernick got a chance to try out with the Raiders.
I don't know if he's tried out yet or if it's been announced that he's going to get a tryout.
Yeah, something like that.
One of the two.
He's 34 years old.
34.
Getting up there in age for quarterbacks, but for most quarterbacks, if you are a Hall of Fame quarterback, you are right at your prime at 34. 35, 36 is when you start your decline, unless you found the fountain of youth somewhere in Florida.
All right.
So with that discussion, you and I decided we want to pick some teams we think Colin Kaepernick is better than their starter, and that team should look at him as their starter. Rich?
So before we do that, would it make sense for the Vegas Raiders to sign him? You have Derek Carr as your starting quarterback. McDaniels has already come out and said it's Carr's team, but their backups.
Do you trust Stidham? But do you trust Stidham? Do you really trust Derek Carr to get through the year without really wanting to be like, okay, I'm done with this guy? At some point this year, Derek Carr is coming out, and he is not going to be the leader of this team. I'm gonna put it out there. He is not going to be the or the starting quarterback of this team by the end of the year. I will say that right now. So yes, I do think Colin Kaepernick could go there and play this year as a starter by the end of the year.
Yeah, I'd have to disagree with you. I think Derek Carr established himself as a good leader of that team. It was kind of odd to where I don't think that McDaniels would have taken the job without having confidence that Derek Carr could thrive in his system.
Yeah.
In his system, if he's going to try and do what no other New England assistant's been able to do and bring the Patriots system to a team that doesn't play in the Boston area and see if it can work.
Do you want to have that? Yeah, I want to have that. I actually have a theory on that one, by the way.
All right.
We'll come back to that after we finish the Colin Kaepernick. We're going to give Colin Kaepernick his due because he deserves it. Okay. So, Rich, we're gonna leave the Raiders out of it. Like you said, you think he could be a good backup. I think he probably starts by the end of the year if he gets a job there. But we disagree. But I think we both agree it could be a good spot for him. I don't think he wants a backup position, but we'll see. Let's go to teams that you think would be a good spot for him. Rich, what is your first team?
I'm going to name my first team, and I'll let you, just in case we have the same team in mind. But for me, the first, looking at the depth chart, the first team that comes up as a guy that I don't think deserves to be a starter in the league, and that maybe even Kaepernick is maybe better of, and it'd have to be Seattle. Geno Smith, Drew Lock.
Yes, that's close to my
Beaston.
That's close to my first one. That is actually my second team.
That's my first team. I mean, the only thing that I can think of with Seattle is that they want to run the ball. So any limitations with arm strength or being able to run an offense, or I guess you wouldn't necessarily have to depend on Colin Kaepernick to throw for 300, 350, 400 yards and 3 touchdowns.
But Kaepernick has always had strength in his arms. Strength has never been his issue. It's been his accuracy. So, yeah, you're right. He doesn't have to. And you don't have to worry about as many interceptions that way. I am going to go with, and this one's, I think you're going to disagree.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. Sam Darnold is not as good of a quarterback as Colin Kaepernick, and you have a rookie behind him. And then
that was a 4th round pick for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. And then, nothing.
Okay.
So I'm going to say the Carolina Panthers need to give Colin Kaepernick a call. Rich?
All right. My number 2 team.
Yep.
That maybe should have given him a longer look before they signed who they're going to have roll out as their starting quarterback, Marcus Mariota with the Falcons.
Ooh, I like that. That actually would have been my third team. My second team is Seattle. My third team would have been Atlanta, but I'm going to skip those 2 teams because you got those 2 teams straight off, and I'm going to go Houston.
Yeah, I can see Houston.
Davis Miles? Kyle Allen? Come on now.
And the thing is, with both Houston and Seattle, the team's got nothing to lose by signing him.
Not a thing.
Put him on a 1-year deal, which I'm sure is what he wants. Yep. Sign a 1-year deal, cheap deal. Let him either fail and you get a good draft pick out of it, and you get the good publicity for giving him a chance, or B, he does he does decent, reestablishes his value, and he gets to sign a larger term contract with somebody else that wants to that
Yeah.
sees him as a viable bridge quarterback. I don't think he was I don't think at his age he's a long term signed to a 6 or 7 year deal. But
You know
if you
what?
need a
He could
quarterback,
be though.
I think at his age he's
For
the type of quarterback that could be used as a bridge to where, you know what, you don't have a high enough draft, but you're still good enough to maybe win and get into the playoffs, but you don't necessarily have a good long-term solution at the quarterback position.
I'm gonna say if Colin Kaepernick is a bridge quarterback, he's a 3-mile bridge quarterback. And you're looking at me like I'm crazy. He is a long bridge quarterback. Rich, what has he done for the last 5 years? You know what he hasn't done for the last 5 years?
He hasn't gotten hit.
Hasn't gotten hit. Hadn't been beat up. Hasn't put miles on his knees. He's been working out. So, the
But
next
is he
place
working out, or is he working out as a quarterback? We don't know.
We don't know.
what
I'm not around him, so I can't say for certain. But
I know.
But I think he knows what it takes. I think he's trying to put in the time. I think he genuinely is trying to be a quarterback. Now, the next spot, I think somebody should hardcore look Miami. Do you trust Tua Tagovailoa? Do you trust Teddy Bridgewater? Yeah. What's he been doing the last 2 years?
I would not. I don't see Miami unless one of those guys gets injured.
Rich, what has Tua Tagovailoa done the last 3 years?
Not a whole lot.
Okay. How long are you going to wait to see whether or not you're going to... You're not going to... So he's on his... This is his 4th year, right? Or is this his 3rd year?
3rd, I think.
Okay, this is his 3rd year. You have to make the decision if you're going to pick up that 5th-year option. So you have 1, maybe 2 years of this guy in Tua. Do you really think that you can... Do you think he's going to bounce back good enough to deserve a spot to be a starter in the NFL?
I want to see what he can do
Nope.
with.
You know who I want to see do something in Miami? Colin Kaepernick. Rich, what's your 3rd team?
Using the prefaces that I'm pretty sure this guy's going to miss some time to suspension, and they're not going to probably want to hang on to Baker Mayfield, I would say Colin Kaepernick should get on the horn with Cleveland, either before or after they decide what they're going to do with Baker Mayfield, and especially after they know what they're going to do, what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, because he's definitely a better quarterback than Jacoby Brissett.
100% better than Jacoby Brissett. If you're the Browns and you can pick up Colin Kaepernick at a cheap rate, let's be honest, you make him a decent offer. You don't have to make him a great offer. If he decides to decline it, then you say, well, you haven't proved yourself. If I'm Cleveland, here's what I do. You ready for it, Rich?
Sure.
I'm gonna say, here's the deal. I'm gonna sign you to a $1 million contract, but you are getting bonuses that could make that worth $15 million. If you play well enough, if you prove yourself to our team, we're gonna give you $15 million for a total of $16 million. If you are Cleveland, that's what you do. Then that frees you up to say, okay, Baker, let's shop you out. Who wants him? He can go to Seattle if that's where he wants to go. He can go anywhere that he wants to go. So that's if I'm Cleveland, that's the move I play. That's my play.
Because Exactly, because you could also sell Kaepernick on, well, our guy Deshaun Watson, who we just gave a guaranteed contract to, is going to be out eight. Let's say it's 8 games,
Yeah,
half the season,
if he only misses
or
8 games, he's
missed.
lucky on that. But yes.
Yeah. So let's say he misses half the games,
Yep.
and you could easily market. All right, you got 8 games to prove yourself.
Yep.
To show that you're still a viable starting quarterback option for teams.
Yep.
But
and I would honestly.
But you've also got to get him to accept that. All right, week 9 hits. No matter how good we're playing, Deshaun Watson's getting in that lineup.
Here's the other thing I do. If I'm the team, I make it so that I don't if it's 8 weeks. Like you do a graduated bonus system. If it's 8 weeks, make his goals attainable to get those. Make them hard to attain, but make them attainable. Make him work to get that. If it's gonna be 8 games, whatever the suspension is, however long. If it's an entire season, make it an entire season's worth to get those bonuses. If it's 8 games, make it 8 games to get those bonuses. But don't do something like put 17 games, make it a 17 game requirement, and then make it unattainable because you know Deshaun's coming in. You can't do that to him. Give him a real chance to make those bonuses. That's what I do if I'm Cleveland.
So I guess with Cleveland, even though it seems like they've kind of, whether it's Baker making it to where you burn bridges. I don't want to come back here because you went behind my back and just hired Deshaun Watson and gave him this huge contract. If you know that Deshaun Watson is going to miss 3/4 of the season or half the season, do you try to persuade Baker Mayfield to come back, or do you take whatever you can get from him or pay him not to play for your team and give him a chance to sign somewhere else?
I think this year what you have to do, it depends on if you can make a deal with somebody else. I think it should be Colin Kaepernick. Okay. I have a 4th team. Do you have a 4th team, Rich?
I'll let you name it first. I'll let you go first just in case we have the same team.
My 4th team, I'm kind of waffling on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Indianapolis Colts.
Why is that, Mike? I'm not seeing that one at all.
I personally, Matty Ice has not proven himself to me. If it were me, I would not have signed Matty Ice.
They traded for him. They didn't sign him.
Okay, I wouldn't have traded for him. I would have.
You think he's on the downhill of his career?
I think he is.
Behind him?
Nick Foles has been on the downhill of his career since he won a Super Bowl.
But he had his best years playing for Frank Reich.
Okay.
Well, his best year, not years. There's no years with him. It's best year.
Right. So I don't trust either of those two. I think Colin actually gives you something different. And he's probably going to be cheaper than either of those two guys. I would have gone with Colin.
He'd be cheaper than both of those guys, but they made those moves. Those two guys, I think, are entrenched in their roster spots.
I think they are. I don't think this is one that I don't think is going to happen. I think it would have been a better move than Matty Ice or Nick Foles.
I don't.
I think it would have been a better move, but I figured that one. But I was leaving one team off that I think you might pick, but we'll see. What's your one? And then I actually have one more.
Is the Detroit Lions.
Okay, I like that. That's a good one.
Going with the same reasoning that you have for Indy for some reason, of you might as well try something different because who you got not working.
The hard part about the Lions, though, if you are Colin Kaepernick, do you want to go to the Lions?
For me, that comes down to, does he does he put his actions where his words are, saying that I'm an NFL starting quarterback. I deserve to be a starter in this league. I'm better than half the guys in the league. He said these things. I'm better than half the starting quarterbacks in this league.
But again,
so go to a team that will give you a starting position.
Yeah. But I would say he, yeah. And then my last team, and this is actually what I thought of as my left field team. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
With the actions that they've taken, I don't see Pittsburgh as a good spot.
Okay.
They drafted the hometown kid in Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. But is he going to start?
I don't know.
Again, if you're looking at a 1-year deal, if all you're looking to do is a 1-year deal, do we start talking about when does Kenny Pickett start? I mean, if that's the case, then fine, maybe.
Yeah, I think you do.
If he starts
at some
this
point
year,
you're going to
sure.
have those conversations, but I mean,
but
Trubisky's not the best option.
As of right now, the depth chart has Trubisky as number 1.
He does. Yes, it does.
So if we're talking about who their projected starter is right now, true or false, Colin Kaepernick is better than Mitch Trubisky.
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
That's why I would say that. Now, do I think that the goal for them is have Trubisky out there for 5 games, 6 games, and then hand it over to Kenny Pickett? Probably. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we've hit all of the teams that genuinely should sign him. By the way, that's 9 teams. We came up with 9 teams, 2 of which you disagreed with. One I think I kind of convinced you on.
But we at least have 5 solid teams.
We have 7. I would say we have 7 solid teams. I would say, yeah, no, we had 7 because you had 4 that I agreed with. I had 3 that you agreed with. So that's 7. I think, are you on board with the option of Mitch Trubisky, because Mitch Trubisky being the starter? Because that'll put us up to 8. Which to me, that's a third of the league, by the way. Or no, that's...
Or at least that there's arguments that there's at least 7 teams, maybe even 8.
Yeah.
That where it makes a little bit of sense for Colin Kaepernick.
I mean,
say that
I would even say
better than that guy. I'm better than that guy.
I would even say he could argue that he's better than Zach Wilson. And I would even say he has an argument about Mac Jones. Now, will the Patriots ever sign him? Never. So that's why neither of us would have picked the Patriots. The Jets, I don't know that neither one of us feels confident in Zach Wilson either way. And I think that's the problem.
If you're on that train of thought, is he better than Carson Wentz?
Ooh, that's a good question. Is he better than Danny Jones? Again, there are plenty of teams. Jalen Hurts? We never even talked about. We didn't even talk about this one. Nolans. Is he better than 30 for 30?
Yeah.
I think there is a good argument that even New Orleans, legitimately, we're close to 10. We'll say 10. We'll say 10 that we could see that we would concede he's better than their starter. Now, again, we're saying their starter. I don't think he's going to be better than Kenny Pickett if Kenny Pickett becomes what he could become and looks like he should be by the end of this year. So again, I would take that out in the long scheme. But he's not better than Deshaun Watson. Deshaun's just in a terrible spot. But there are 10 teams that should at least look at him. And we didn't even include the Raiders on that. Okay, Rich, let's finish out the show. We have some quick hits to talk about. The Preakness ran last week. I went with Epicenter. You went with Secret Oath. By the way, both very good picks.
They did. They did fairly well in the race.
But the Chicago's favorite, voting early and voting often. I mean, just voting early. It's not voting often. But voting early won the Preakness. Epicenter came in second. Secret Oath came in fourth. June 11th is the next race. We will talk about that in 2 weeks.
That's right.
And Rich, there's no spoiler alert this week.
There's not. There's no Masked Singer.
Yeah.
No word yet on when the next season will start yet either.
Okay, Rich. What's the time? Any shout-outs?
No, I don't have any shout-outs this week.
I don't either.
So, yeah. So, Mike, if they're watching us here on Facebook Live or they're listening to us on YouTube, they want to take us out in the car with them or listen to multiple episodes back to back to back. Where can they go to do that, Mike?
Well, anywhere you find your podcast. Now, the last month I've been a little behind. I am buckling down immediately after the show, getting everything caught up for the last month. So you can catch us on anywhere where you get your podcasts. And if you are listening to us and you want to watch us, but you don't want to have us on, you don't have a Facebook, I don't blame you. Check us out on YouTube. Now, Rich, what's it time to do?
Mike, it's time to roll that outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.